So now let us talk about the action potential. But what is action potential in skeletal muscles anyway? If we look at the typical definition, it is the change in electrical potential associated with the passage of an impulse along the membrane of a muscle cell or nerve cell. From action potential mean positive and negative charges. And there's a change in this positive and negative charge. So in the resting membrane potential, we saw that there is a negative charge inside the cell. And in action potential, there is a change in charge, which means that the negative charge will be converted into the positive charge inside the cell. The second thing to note here is that impulse along the cell membrane. And what is this impulse doing? This impulse is initiation of the action potential. That means from here, the action potential will start. And muscle cell and nerve cells are the fibers through which action potential takes place. We have talked about the nerve cell action potential in great details in other videos, so do not forget to check them out. So what is going on in the action potential of a muscle cell? Let us understand this with the help of a graph. If we create a graph against time and membrane potential, then at the resting state, the membrane potential will be minus 90 millivolts. The resting state is the state where no potential or no action potential is going to start. Then, there is a specific membrane potential of minus 55 millivolts. From here, the main action potential starts. We call this phase threshold potential, which means that it has the capability to start an action potential. There is a period known as latent period, in which no action potential is started. In this period, whenever there is a stimulus going on inside the cell, there will be no changes, no charge difference, or no movement of ions inside the cell. We call that latent period. After the latent period, main action potential starts, and it is started in the form of depolarization. From minus 55 millivolts to positive 15 millivolts, the depolarization is very slow. The movement of ions from inside the cell to outside the cell is very slow. So the depolarization is slow till 15 millivolts. But after 15 millivolts, from 15 to 55 millivolts, the depolarization is really fast. What happens is that the channels of ions are opened, and there is influx of ions inside the cell. Take an example of sodium ions. Sodium ions are positively charged. When their gates are open, there is an influx of sodium ions inside the cell. This means there is a positive charge that is moving again and again and again inside the cell. And this will cause the membrane potential to go towards positive side. Well, then there will be a point where there will be no influx of sodium anymore. Now the cell membrane is tired of taking more positive charge inside it, and that potential is known as overshoot. Overshoot is usually plus 55 millivolts, and this is the maximum potential of an action potential. More than that, we cannot have more action potential. After you've achieved the overshoot potential, what's next? Now cell gotta move back to the charges that it has created. The cell wants to go to the resting position. This means that it wants to maintain the negativity inside it. So what will it do? It is going to open the counter channels that are going to bring all the positivity outside the cell. And this is mostly done by potassium channels. Potassium channels will take all the positivity and take it outside the cell in order to make the cell negative. This process is known as repolarization. In repolarization, this positive 55 millivolt is then coming back towards minus 90 millivolts. So what happens is that the cell is all good and is in state of rest. It is on the negative charge, which is minus 90 millivolts. Suddenly a threshold potential came, and it starts to perform action potential. It starts to move the ions outside the cell or move the ions inside the cell. That threshold potential was minus 55 millivolts. At latent period, nothing happens. At latent period, there was a stimulus, but nothing happens to the action potential. There is no exchange of charges at all. But after the latent period, the depolarization started, from where positivity or positive ions, I must say, are coming inside the cell membrane. Now, when there is a certain point of positive 55 millivolts, there is an overshoot that has been achieved. After the achievement of overshoot, there is repolarization, where the charges are balanced again, and the cell membrane is going back to the state of the rest. So that is how an action potential is maintained in a skeletal muscle, and we have explained it with the help of a graph. Now, in the next section, we will be talking about skeletal muscle action potential and its frequency.
Ever felt overwhelmed by the traditional way of learning medicine? Enter the future of education with digital learning. Whether you're refining your knowledge of biochemistry or immersing in cell biology, it's all there. Understanding complex medical subjects has never been easier or more efficient with engaging, interactive content. Welcome to the new age of medical education. Learn anywhere, anytime, at your pace. Powering your medical journey. sqadia.com